If there was one area left that I would like to see the Eagles upgrade, no doubt about it, it would be the defensive end position. Still stinks. Everybody doing? King Dingbat here, and I hope everybody's having a great day. Hope you guys are doing well. You know, as we watch the Washington no-names implode, I mean, I don't know what to call them, okay? Me personally, I call them the Washington pee-pee touchers, okay? Or the Pedo Island gang. Because truth is, some of them congressmen and senators are in some weird, evil, dark shit. It's just the way it is. It's the truth, okay? I don't know what to call that team, but that's what I call them because that's what goes on with a lot of these people in government. Just the way it is, man. It's just truth. Look it up. Now, that team's about to implode. They got all sorts of things happening. Who the hell knows? Now, in all seriousness, what's going on with the Washington no-names is absolutely crazy. A lot of allegations, a lot of things to sort out, and I don't know what to make of all of it. I'm kind of in wait-and-see mode, see what turns out to be true, what not to be true. I mean, there are certain things like pimping out cheerleaders. I mean, to be honest with you, I heard about that like a year or two ago. Okay, there were reports a year or two ago they were making them do topless shoots. They were taking their passports. This came out a long time ago. What did the NFL do about it? Nothing. Nothing ever came of it. I've heard a lot of things about Jay Gruden doing drugs and stuff like that. I mean, that's been out for a while. I you know, you didn't know if it was true, but you heard whispers. So some of these things coming out now, it's very, very interesting. Jay Gruden was banging some chick that one of his running backs were banging, so he benched his running back, and now Smith winds up getting hurt. I mean, you can't find another chick to bang. Don't you got a wife? What the hell's wrong with you? Then you think about all the drugs he was possibly doing, the pimping out the cheerleaders, absolutely horrendous. A lot of cheerleaders, like a lot of women are coming out saying they were sexually harassed by the upper echelon, the inner circle of Dan Snyder. Is it enough to get Dan Snyder to lose the team? I don't know. But here's what I think is the real crazy thing. The real crazy thing is all about the referees and fixing the games. If the Redskins were fixing games, spending up to like $2 million fixing games trying to buy off refs, they should get their money back. They should get their money back because they stink. You can't even pay off a ref and win. You can't even pay off a ref and win. We don't know if it's true, but I'm going to say this. They said the Redskins and other teams. If the Redskins were paying off refs, then there are a lot of teams doing it. It's just, it's not going to be just Dan Snyder. It's going to be many other teams. Get ready, Patriots. Get ready, Cowboys. Because you guys would be my top two teams that I would look at. The one team I know didn't pay off anybody, the Eagles. We get screwed in every call. We get screwed in every call possible. So I know we didn't buy off anybody, so I ain't worried about it. But, look, I said before, I don't think football's scripted. I don't think the NFL's scripted, but I do think the refs, I think they play with the money lines and they bet and all sorts of things, and I'm sure that they take money and buy off. I'm sure it happens. I'm sure, but that's going to be huge. That may be the biggest thing. Now, I got to say this. These are a lot of allegations we have to see. I find it very interesting that it comes the same time that the Redskins decide to change their name. Did they decide to change their name to try to quench all this other stuff? Or did they get pressured to do it and this is some backway move to get Snyder out in the NFL? Just keep an eye on it. I keep hearing people, especially Redskin fans, talking about Jeff Bezos being the new owner of the Redskins. You know, Jeff Bezos, who owns the Washington Post, works for the CIA, but he owns the Post. He sits there. He runs a story. Then he comes in on the back end, buys the team out from under him. I'm just saying, I don't know what the hell's going on, but it's a lot of crazy things. And I think we kind of got to wait and see what happens, because it's crazy, no question about it. And some of the things, I got to be honest with you, I've heard before about the Redskins, so I'm not surprised at all. But we're going to see what the hell happens. Just glad it's not the Eagles. Now, then you look at the Dallas Cowboys. You got Mark Holmes crying on every video. He's been sobbing for hours upon hours. Dak Prescott didn't get signed. How much do they believe in their franchise quarterback? I don't know. If I was a Dallas Cowboy fan, I would feel very, very nervous about not having Dak Prescott signed to a long-term contract, going into a franchise tag year where you don't know what's going to happen. These things are very fluid and they can change very quickly. So if I was a Cowboy fan, I would feel uneasy, And as far as our Eagles go, hey, we're just ready for the season to begin. We are just ready for the season to begin, and I love it. Man, I am so ready for football. I really am. I hope it starts on time. Hope they figure everything out and we can get this show on the road, because I need it, man. I need it. And, it is my personal opinion that the Eagles most likely are probably done making moves. I really think that Peters was probably the last move that they're going to make, at least until, you have training camp, some guys get injured, you need to bring guys in, those kind of things. I think they're probably done. However, in my personal opinion, I would look to add another defensive end. And there are a few reasons why I say that. Number one, there are still good defensive ends on the free agent market. They're out there. There's some good guys out there. Number two, the Eagles' defense is predicated on their defensive line. Getting to the quarterback is the key to their defense. And if you could add guys to constantly rotate in, I think it's a big advantage for the Eagles. And it provides insurance for if somehow Derek Barnett doesn't live up to his first-round billing. Because to me, the key to this whole defense is going to be Derek Barnett. If Derek Barnett does not have a breakout year, if he does not play like a first-round pick who's a defensive end, I think it's going to hurt the Eagles. They got the guys in the middle. He's going to have one-on-one coverage. He has to have a big year, okay? But if for some reason he doesn't or he gets hurt again, bringing in one of these free agent defensive ends is not a bad idea. And I've talked a lot about Jadeveon Clowney, a ton about Jadeveon Clowney. And I feel like in some ways I haven't really been fair to Everson Griffen, because he is a very, very good player. He may not be the shiny car that everybody talks about as they do with Jadeveon Clowney, who's younger and maybe more athletic, but he is a good player. He is a good player. He had 8 sacks last year. He is still out on the market. Yes, he's 32 years old. He'll be 33 in December. However, he has shown in a tweet interest in possibly playing for the Philadelphia Eagles. I know all you guys saw that tweet where he's like, somebody was talking about him over Clowney, and he was like, amen, brother. You guys saw that. Everson Griffen may be the better pickup than Jadeveon Clowney for a few reasons why. One, I think he's a more consistent player. You know what he's going to give you game in and game out, okay? Number two, he could be a lot cheaper than Jadeveon Clowney if you think about it, right? Jadeveon Clowney, he started at $24 million, then he dropped to $18 million, then $16 million. Now he said he'll play for somewhere around $8 to $10 million. Well, I think Everson Griffen, he originally was asking for about $13 million as a free agent. He's come way down too, apparently, from what I've been looking up, and he could be cheaper than $8 to $10 million. He could be somewhere in that $6-7 million range. That's something the Eagles could afford for 1 year. And if they were to sign him, he would be the perfect guy to come in and rotate in with that defense. And the good thing about it is that though he's a little older, he probably would fit that rotation a lot better. And look, I like some of the young guys the Eagles have. I love Josh Sweat. I think he came on at the end of last year. I think he's going to be a guy that produces. However, the Eagles love to rotate guys in and out, okay? You can have a situation where you have Derek Barnett, you have Everson Griffen, you can move Brandon Graham inside next to Fletcher Cox on pass rush situations. And just to be able to rotate these guys in and out is a good thing. And let's face it, when it comes to the Eagles, and it comes to defensive ends, we seem to always go in with a ton of talent at the defensive end position, and somehow by the time the season starts, 2-3 of those guys are nowhere to be found. I mean, maybe you get a guy like Sharif Miller, or maybe he breaks out. Who knows? However, in my own personal opinion, a guy like Everson Griffen would be a great signing for the Eagles, and he may be a better bargain than Jadeveon Clowney, not just because of the money, but because you know what you're going to get it week in and week out, and it may be less of a spot where Derek Barnett is threatened by losing a starting position or something like that. But Everson Griffen would be a great player to sign, and one of the reasons that I was reading on a Viking site today was one of the reasons why he hasn't signed were teams were worried about him because, if you remember, he took some time off for mental health reasons, those kind of things. If that's the case and people aren't signing him for that and you're going to get a good deal out of it, I say go for it. I mean, I would take a chance on the guy. The guy seems like he's ready to play. If he had problems, he took care of it. Give him a chance to play. So to me personally, if you could go out and get Everson Griffen, hey, if you could get Jadeveon Clowney, fine, do it. And then, to me, the greatest move would be somehow at the trade deadline, if you didn't get either of those two guys, Clowney or Griffen, and somehow Yannick was available at the trade deadline, that would be the number one move. But Everson Griffen is a great player, and I haven't talked enough about him. I've kind of focused on Jadeveon just because he's younger. But Everson Griffen, for 1 year to come into Philly, play for the Eagles in that rotation next to, behind Graham and Derek Barnett, and just rotate these guys in with Josh Sweat, maybe Avery, Sharif Miller if he can make it. I think it's a big deal because that's what the Eagles defense is predicated on, that defensive line. They like to go in the fourth quarter fresh with fresh bodies rotating in, and he would be a perfect guy to come in. And look, if he can mentor and help out a guy like Derek Barnett, I'm all for it. So Everson Griffen is out there. I don't think the Eagles are going to bring in somebody at this point, maybe when we have injuries or something like that. However, he could be a lot cheaper than what Jadeveon Clowney's asking for, $9-10 million range. And yes, he's older, but for 1 year as a rotational defensive end, I think he could be a great pickup. But that's just my opinion. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section. Tomorrow, I'll probably be doing an afternoon live stream. Haven't been able to do live streams this week. Just trying to catch up from being gone in Vegas, so it's been hard. I hope to have one Friday, so join me for that live stream tomorrow. With that said, take care, talk to you later, and don't be a dingbat.